So the behaviors that allow me to be successful in consulting are: one, I learned to listen. I learned to listen really well. And that is something that I developed as a consultant, because I'm doing interviews. I'm thinking about clients' problems when we're doing a sales call. And I'm learning to listen and really understand what are they saying. And that listening then helped me develop empathy. Now you could say empathy is a personal characteristic. It is, but it's also a skill that you can develop. I had to learn math, right? Why did I have to learn math? Why did I have to learn accounting? Why did I do that? Because I'm dealing with business. So I didn't go as deep as an accountant would. I didn't go as deep as somebody who has to work in finance. But what I did do is I wanted to speak the language of business. And that's what I do in consulting. And the last piece that I'd say is I just said, you know what? How am I going to deal with other people? How am I going to do leadership? And how am I going to make sure everybody's on board? And so I have learned to delegate better, because a lot of what made me successful when I was younger was getting it done. But what makes me successful now is being able to get it done through others. So how do I teach people? How do I use my skills that I learned in being a facilitator and being a coach, and then turn it internally to people in my firm to help develop them, so that now I'm partnering a lot more. So I would say all of the skills are people skills, managing, like I said, priorities, managing other people and learning to have empathy and listening, and then being able to problem solve, whether it's problem solving with myself or that's problem solving with other experts or other people like me, and brainstorming on how can we help them solve what they're looking to solve. Oh, gosh, did I do it perfectly? No. Would I change anything? No, because guess what? I've used my career path to get to where I am now. Whatever my path was, I feel like I'm successful. I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what energizes me. I do what fulfills me. And that's the most important thing in the world is where do you end up? Now, with that said, one of the things that I think was really important is I took the time to reflect on what it is that I wanted to do. I took the time to think about, where do I get my excitement and where don't I? So when I went into consulting, I had choices, right? I could have gone internal to a company. I could have done something in the public sector. I could have done something that was a little bit more secure. But what I chose is I had the light, and I had done some reflecting. Like, I liked teaching, but I didn't want to be a teacher in a school. I loved the science, but I knew I didn't want to sit in a lab all day. I loved business and sales, but I knew that I didn't want to just do that only. I really wanted to find something that combined it. So when I discovered, and I will say that, I discovered it, and I was open to it, was this whole world of human resource development. And so I knew I didn't have the capabilities to do that. So I went out and I found people who did, and I interviewed them and I learned from them. I found some classes around it. So I took my own time to do some extra learning after school. I decided that I needed to have a career change. So I used my graduate study as a way of doing that. So I got very involved with volunteer activities within the school that would differentiate myself so that people would take a chance on me. So that when I graduated, I had different offers in different ways around consulting, human resources internally, and I had a consulting job internal. And so I had options, and I had options because I was very thoughtful about what types of things would make me look attractive to an employer. And then when I got into the job, I was very open into what are the different aspects of what Korn Ferry does, and how can I do things that help client add value, right, to the company, because you got to make money for the company, but also satisfy my desires to do the more in the leadership development, more the helping people and the coaching people directly. And so that's what I did. And it was a harder path, but at the end, I knew it was going to be the more rewarding path. Advice that I would give myself and to you is be open to learning, because I think curiosity and the openness to different experiences is key. I mean, because that's what, one, makes life fun, but two, it will allow you to be a lot more agile when you have to deal with the ups and downs that the work world or the consulting world or the public sector world, whatever it is that you're going into, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. It's a crazy world out there right now, especially. So the best you can do is be agile, to learn from your mistakes as well as your successes. Mistakes aren't bad. Learn from them and then make sure you don't do them over and over again. And then what you have to do is just say, you know what? If you have to take a job that's not perfect, if you have to do some menial tasks, do it. But as you're doing it, you always reflect on what are you learning from this and how can you apply it now and in the future. And I think that will make your career fulfilling no matter what it ends up being. And the path is half the fun.